What's up guys, it's Dan, and guess what? I'm gonna make a Gundam. Oh, okay, I can't really make a Gundam, because I don't have any place to store a 16 to 18 meter robot. So what I actually mean is I'm gonna be making a Gundam cosplay suit. Now this is something that I've wanted to do for a while now. I follow a couple YouTubers who have made Gundam cosplays. One is Uber's Cosplay. He made a RX-78, he made a Mark II, a Wing Zero custom. It looks really crazy. And an RX-79G. I'm going to be using some of his methods in terms of how he shaped some of the parts to help maintain the Gundam proportions, which is hard to do, but he did a really good job. And I also follow Odin Makes. He's a very experienced prop and cosplay maker. His specialty is EVA foam. He uses this a lot in his builds, and his videos are builds. He shows step by step how he approaches the prop he wants to make and shows you how he puts it all together. So his videos are a really big help. And also he made his own RX-78 Gundam cosplay suit, and it looks badass. He based it off the real grade Gunpla, so there's a lot of detail, but it looks really good. It was sized to fit a person, so the body is small, the head is big, the shoulders are kind of big, but that's what you have to do. You can make it proportional to Gundam, but you won't be able to put it on. So yeah, but it looks really cool. I really like to see that in person. And he's based up in Sacramento, which is cool. It's about half an hour from me. Hi Odin. This is Dan Does Junk. I'm going to be referencing him and Uber's Cosplay in my videos. So down to the nitty gritty. Which Gundam am I going to make? Probably what you're all wondering. The last couple Halloweens I went as the Grim Reaper, which was cool. This year I had a scythe. You can see my scythe build video. But I kind of wanted to step it up from that. And I figured I might as well do my Gundam cosplay that I've been wanting to do. And I figured, you know what? Why don't we keep the Grim Reaper thing? Now to you Gundam fans out there, you know exactly what Gundam I'm going to be making. And if you don't, I'm going to be making this. It's the Gundam Deathscythe from Gundam Wing. Here's a better look at the Deathscythe. Now this figure in particular is the Tamashii Gundam Universe figure. Now I also have the original 1/100 high grade Gunpla. This is more accurate in terms of how it appears in the OVA, but I really like how they accentuated everything with this figure. The legs look big and beefy, the knee shields are huge. Just the overall look, they reshaped the arms so they're not just straight pieces like this. So yeah, this is what I'm gonna be referencing my Gundam cosplay off of, this exact figure. Now I do have some goals that I want to achieve with this. One, I want to maintain as close as I can, as best as I can, the proportions of the Gundam. You know, they have small heads, big bodies, long legs. I'm going to try my best to achieve that look. It won't be exact. The head will still be big, you can't avoid that, but I'll try to make it as close as possible. And this won't just be something that I put on and wear around, you know, at a con or for Halloween or whatever. I'm gonna add special effects to this, and you're gonna see exactly what I'm gonna be doing, probably in the last video. This is gonna be quite a project, and it'll span multiple videos. It'll probably be in the last video when I'm doing all the electronics and things like that. It will have lights, obviously, hopefully, depending on what I have in my head in terms of what'll work. What you're going to be seeing in these videos may make me appear like I know what the hell I'm doing. Because I'm just going to be building things, putting things together. You're going to see it all come together like I'm an expert. I'm far from one. What you're going to be seeing exactly is a result of me after doing extensive research and coming up with different ideas in terms of how I want things to work and come together. So yeah, I did a lot of work, I spent a lot of time looking at how to not just build the suit, but design it in a way, which I forgot to mention another goal I have. I predict that I'll probably be by myself if I go to a con or event or whatever. So I'm also gonna try to design this to be put on and taken off just by me. A one-person job, which may be a challenge, but hell, I've never done anything like this before, so that's a challenge in itself. So yeah, add more and more to it. All right, so that's enough of me rambling. So the first thing I'm gonna be making is the head. I start by making a helmet. I use Odin's method. I know it as Odin's method of using aluminum foil and duct tape to create a pattern of my head. Then I roughly locate where my ear is and mark it with a Sharpie. Then I remove the pattern, which I know I shouldn't do, but drawing the pattern pieces while on my head will be much harder. I use Odin's layout that he used for his Red Guardian's helmet to draw out the pattern pieces for mine. Then I cut all the pieces out. I also included alignment marks which will help when I assemble the skull cap. Then I flattened them all out. I made relief cuts for the ones that had a hard time flattening out. Trace the pattern pieces onto some thin cardboard, which will be easier to work with than aluminum foil and duct tape. Then I trace the patterns onto some 5mm foam for both sides. The helmet is symmetrical, so I just needed to flip the pattern pieces. So I've got all my pieces here cut out. I got the rights and I got the lefts. Now because this is going to be for a helmet, I need a way to round the shapes. Now Odin uses a homemade planishing stake, which he used a metal ladle and attached it to his stick, and he's able to heat up the foam with a heat gun, and then he can shape the foam round. I don't have a spare ladle or anything like that to sacrifice to make a planishing stake. The closest thing I have is this to the baseline. So this is my Rogue LX200B. This has nice rounded edges on it, and that's what I can use to form these pieces into a nice round shape. I don't believe the foam will hurt the finish on here. Plus this thing is very metallic and shiny, so any scratches that will appear on it will be kind of hard to see. So for example, like on this round nub right here, I can use that and round the pieces on it. So this is what I'm going to use. After heating up the parts and rounding them with my bass guitar, I assembled the helmet using contact cement. The alignment marks really helped in putting it together properly. And now for a test fit. Not too bad for my first time ever making a skull cap out of EVA foam. Unfortunately, I don't have anything to hold this so that it stays in the right shape, because it can still like warp and move and stuff. I wanted to keep its shape, so I'm just going to use a balloon. Blow it up until it fits in there, I guess. There we go. I start with the top of the head, which has a balloon-like shape to it, so I use a balloon to make my pattern. The cool thing about this is I get to test fit the pattern onto the skull cap, just to see how it looks. So this is where I am so far. That cutaway is for the mohawk. Then I already have the back part shaped, roughly. Yeah, just checking the figure. So now this should look like that. Because I have the extra layers here, it's helping keep the helmet shape more, which is nice. And it's feeling more sturdier since now this is 10mm thick, since I have 2 layers of 5mm foam There are some seams that I do need to clean and fill. So yeah, the mohawk is next. I'm constantly looking at the figure since that is my reference. The head is like one of the more challenging parts, mainly because it has round shapes when you're working with foam that is normally flat. But thanks to the heat gun and my bass guitar, I was able to round the pieces nicely. For the mohawk, I make a template out of poster board, then I test fit it on the head. Happy with the pattern, I transfer it to some 10mm floor mat foam. I check the two pieces for symmetry. Then cut out the recessed area on the head where the mohawk will be placed. Clean up and bevel the cut edge with a sanding drum. And attach both mohawk pieces along with a 2mm foam strip on the top. Starting to look like something. Now the GU, or Gundam Universe figure, has this rounded. The high grade is actually just sharp, but like I said in the beginning, I'm basing it off of this guy. So now the head is a little misshapen because it has to fit me. Like this is like really round and tall. It's not supposed to be that tall. I did slim this down, otherwise it would have been like maybe half an inch higher, just to try to keep everything small. I am gonna make individual boxes for the camera lenses here, but I'm gonna leave this bottom part here open because it's open inside, and that'll help with ventilation for my head since this is a skull cap type of helmet. I know I have to do the head Vulcans here, but before I do that, I'm gonna go ahead and start on the lower part of the head, because that'll help me determine where to line up the head Vulcans. Because when you look at them, you can see it, they actually stick out. They have a little bit of an indentation, but for the most part, they do stick out. You can see it there. So I'm gonna see what I can use for that. So yeah, let's get on with the rest of the head. I make a cardboard pattern of the cheek flares or sideburns. By this time you already know the method. Make a pattern out of cardboard, then transfer it to foam, which I did here, and I attached them to the head. Next thing to tackle are the side vents, which are connected to a shaped box that wraps around the entire backside of the head. I cut a double beveled strip of floor mat foam, which I plan to use for the top of the vent box. I attached the strip to the head. I warmed it up and bent it so it wouldn't cause too much stress while putting it on. I also had to make a couple of relief cuts because it bends a certain way as it wraps around the back of the head, as you can see here. And here's the end result. Next, I cut a piece of 5mm foam to enclose the box. And yes, I did make a pattern piece, even though you don't see it. And I attached the panel with contact cement. Now, it's such a big piece, I have to use some paper in some areas to prevent it from prematurely sticking. Alright, let me get in the center of the frame here. Let me catch you guys up on what I've done, where I'm at, how far I've gone, what I'm doing next. So here is the head right now. Look at that. It looks so sick. And yes, the whole time I was thinking Spartan helmet. Look at that. That's so Spartan right there. Because I don't have the face yet. But yeah, this is the head right now. That crest, mohawk, whatever you want to call it. It looks so good on it. It looks legit. And I also forgot to mention, I'm gonna try my best to try and use foam that is the color that it should be. Like for the head, I use black foam because that's what the head color is. The face, I'm going to be using some gray HD foam here that I got from Blick Art. This is a SKS Props, their EVA foam bundle. Throw this on, down for you a bit. It's hitting my hoodie in the back. It ended up being big, obviously, that's to fit me. There's quite a bit of room in here. I mean, the actual top here is hitting my head, and my hair is still trying to push the helmet off. But for the most part, it fits nice. Really happy with how this is turning out. Except I wasn't. After staring at the helmet for the rest of the day, the sheer height of it really bothered me. So, I performed some surgery. I cut off and removed the mohawk, then I cut the top of the head completely off, cutting it along the top vent box line. My goal pretty much was to try to section it, removing about 15 millimeters or so of material to try to decrease the height of the head so it'll look better overall. I mark and cut off the excess material. Prior to this, I did double check to make sure I knew how much to remove. Okay, that took a while, but I thought I fucked up because I was starting to put the pieces back together and things weren't fitting and things were getting lopsided and warped and everything. So I had to first calm down. I had attached the mohawk, and that's what caused everything to warp as I was trying to put everything back together. So I had to take that off. On the inside edge here, on the head, I bevel cut that. As you can see, it stops at an angle, so I bevel cut that so it'll be straight, so it can mount to the mohawk a lot better. And it did. And I had to redo the front here, the entire front. The mohawk does slope down a lot more now, but it's not horrible. It still looks great, and man, it was worth the the scare and the panic to make the adjustment of shrinking down the dome of the head. It is a lot smaller, and it still fits great. Yeah, that looks a lot better now. Try to go closer so you can see. I look funky. Now that I got that situated, I can begin making the V-fin. I start by making the V-fin block, which is 3 pieces of floor mat foam cut to shape. And here it is after I've taken it to my sanding drum. And then for some reason, I decided to wrap it with 2mm foam in yellow. Now I'm not gonna lie, for some reason I was struggling making the V-fin horns. You can see here I've got various attempts at it, making it out of cardboard. This is one that I put together today, made out of a thin cardboard, thin but fairly sturdy. And the way I made this is I made a long point, a long dart, and I just measured and cut the angles to bend it. I kept the center or the peak as like the main contact point or the pivot point for each of the pieces. And this has a total of 5 pieces. You got 3 main pieces here, then there's like little triangles right there for fillers. Now after like 5 or 6 times doing this, I found out something interesting, and that's this. I can fold this thing flat. So, what that allows me to do is make this out of just one piece instead of multiple pieces put together. So that's what I did. I drew this out and I made a pair of horns. One piece. So yeah, this is going to be a lot better as opposed to having multiple pieces put together. Give it a nice, clean and crisp look. To mount the horns to the Vifen block, I used a combination of my cutting mat and a long ruler to make sure the horn tips are the same distance from center. I plan on attaching this to the head with magnets. Next, I work on the head guns. First, I cut two circles that are 40 millimeters in diameter, which happens to be the same as the small roll of tape, and clean them up with my sanding drum. On the head, I cut out the area that will curve in, and also where those circles will mount. Here I test fit the circles. You can actually see my head through those holes. Now the circles actually did touch my head, so they had to be trimmed down a bit. Sometimes weird things happen. I measure and plan out one part to fit one side, and I found out it fits the other side better. This head gun I mapped out on this side, but I found out it fit here better actually. And same thing with this piece here, which isn't glued on yet, but I created this piece for this side, but it fits on this side better. So sometimes it happens, but all I need are pieces. And now I can finally get started on the face. I make a simple template out of poster board. Now this head was made to be small, so I don't expect the face to cover my face entirely. I shaped the pattern and add the two side panels, which actually overlap the center part. Anyone else feel Optimus Prime vibes? Happy with the pattern, I transferred the 5mm foam. Originally I wanted to use the lighter gray foam here, but it's 6mm thick. And yes, 1mm does make a difference. The Gundam now has a face, and I'd have to say it looks way more sinister in all black. Show you what I've got so far. And magnetized. Another round magnets, so it does do this. And this will go here. I can see alright. I know my eyes look so deep in there, but my vision is actually pretty good. Man, what do you think of that? The face wasn't too hard to make. It was just paying attention to symmetry and with putting it together. Well, the face actually I made in one pattern, which is nice. I did the bevel cuts. See, how do I take this? I guess I just pull. Yeah. The magnets are hot glued on, by the way. That does work well. I did bevel the inside vents, if you can see it, so that my breath can escape more efficiently. What's next is I'm gonna 3D print the nozzles for here. Now, yeah, when I blow, it goes straight to my eyes, which is a problem if I'm gonna be putting lenses for the eyes. And there it is. I'm using 2mm foam here. It's got the look. I mean, look at that. Look at this guy. That's insane. Jeez. My lashes are still touching the bottom of the eyes here. It doesn't look terrible since I shaved the face down so I can try to move the eyes like further out instead of like closer to my face. What I can try to do, I can try to shave this part down so that way this can be pushed further out more and it won't hurt the look. So roughly when I put it on, it's like that. Yeah, why do I have long lashes? For the eyes, I cut out pieces out of green acrylic plexiglass. They'll fit into the eyepiece like so. As you can see, they're cut in a way so that the piece will reach the top of the eyepiece. That makes it possible for them to be lit up with LEDs. So now you see what I was getting at. Here's the back. You can see the acrylic goes all the way to the top there. So that way I can hook up a light right onto it. I'm gonna see if I can get some one-way mirror tint for the eyes, because right now you can see my eyes and I'm fogging them up. Damn. That's sick. Wow. I did have a number of eye templates because I was just trying to like figure out what looks good, and this is the one that I stuck with, and it looks really good. Oh, you can see right through to the other eye. Now, how does it look with me in it? Hopefully the eyes stay in place. You can still see my eyes. Hi! Yeah, I just fogged them up right away. But, you know, I will have this thing covering my mouth. Actually, let me try that. Shouldn't be a problem. Yeah, I still can. I can still fog it up even though it's covered, but jeez. That's sick. The black face reminds me of Titans. And it's a good size to me. The head will obviously be big, like I've said in the beginning, and you can't really avoid that. My visibility is not bad. I know you can see how wide apart the eyes are, but because it's so close to my face, it looks like one screen, one visor. I keep talking and laughing and it just keeps fogging up the eyes. Sorry, my whole thing here got a lot messier. But let me show you where I'm at right now. I painted some things. You can see the V-fin's painted and the face is painted as well. You ready to see it? Look at that. I do have LEDs in the camera boxes up there and in here. They're not hooked up, but they're in there and they actually blink. Let me demonstrate that for you. So you can see, I just apply power to it and it's already blinking. I also cleaned off some of the Sharpie marks. The head itself isn't painted, not yet. I need to seal it with some Alex Flex so I can cover up and fix imperfections and other things like that. Then I can paint it. But the face and the V-fin are painted and complete. Give you a closer look there. And the nozzles too, for the head guns. What do you think of that? That's pretty damn sick. For the eyes, as you can see a little bit, I'm using a one-way mirror tint, so that way you can't really see my eyes, because these are pretty close to my face. Well, I'm at some distance from you, but let me show you. Yeah, you can't really see my eyes when I'm wearing this, so neener. What do you think? Look at that face, that pretty face. This is no doubt the Deathscythe. Success! The eyes light up. I'm using chip LEDs, green, one eye each. I did have to create a platform for them and also chip away at the base pretty much so that it won't scar me. I don't really feel it in there, and my vision is actually okay. But yeah, they light up. You can see the LEDs under there. I'll show you. I don't know if it'll show up well because they're pretty bright, but they're under here, right under the visor. They look bright on camera. They are pretty bright. I just have them hooked up to a 12-volt battery right now. But yeah, they're gonna be part of the head at least. I can take the face on and off because I was wondering how to do it. I thought I might hook up an LED strip onto this. Yeah, luckily this works. That looks so cool. Look at that. It works well with the tint on the back. I'm gonna position the LEDs in a way that you still won't see my eyes, because if I position it behind the lens somewhat, you'll see my eyes. So it'll be somewhat in front of the lens. You can see my hand right here, right? This is kind of behind the lens, but on this side you can't see anything. This side you can see my hand, see some movement. This side, nothing. So LED position is important, and I will enclose the LEDs better after everything's painted, and I'll also hook up the camera lights too. So yeah, the eyes light up.
My Alex Flex finally came in, and I used it to cover the seams and imperfections. I let it set for a day, then I sanded it down and also burnt in the panel line detail. Then give it 2 good coats of black Plastidip. Then finally, I painted its color and seal it with a matte clear.
And here it is, my Deathscythe head. Now for the paint, I actually used Krylon black first, and then for the actual color, this is my attempt to save paint, I used Montana Gold Anthracite. It's all acrylic, but as you can see, I'm not sure if you can tell, it's not straight up black, because the Deathscythe to me was never really straight up black. When you watch the anime, maybe they did that just so that you can see the detail, because if they just made it straight up black, then you won't be able to see much. But it's always been like almost black to me, so that's the way I'm going to keep it, as you can see. And it actually looks good, that color. The LEDs are not hooked up to anything right now because I plan to have one power source. It's not going to be in the head, so but I can do that later. Give you a closer look there. Has somewhat of a sheen to it, even though I sprayed it with a clear matte spray. Yeah, I actually want to say thank you to Odin for answering my questions regarding building a Gundam cosplay during the live streams that he has. He's the one who gave me insight in terms of what paints to use. He primarily uses Krylon and Montana Gold paints, and Montana Black as well, but mostly the Montana Gold and Krylon. That's how I was able to get this color. Again, this is Anthracite, and I didn't say what the white was, but this is also Montana Gold Disco White. So yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. I apologize, I know it's been over 30 minutes. I've been editing the video as I'm going on and waiting for things to come in, like this crap right here. They're out of stock at the store for some reason, so I had to get it online. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Stay tuned for the next video, and I'll see you guys then.